So what I'm going to talk about is the implications of these new online campaigns, because they're everywhere, right? You see that Andy's doing them, and there's a large momentum around them. And what are the implications to the marketing organization structurally? What are the implications from a technology perspective? How do they affect budgets? I'll talk a little bit about how it's changing the scope of marketing for organizations. And I'll talk a little bit about how applications are being built differently as a result of these types of online campaigns. So I made the mistake of, we went on a cruise with my wife and kids in March of last year. I made the mistake of asking her, because she did all the homework, she volunteered all the way, so I made the mistake of asking her, okay, so how did you come up with, kind of the choices that you think were the best? And so I was just fascinated with her response. So, because I'm not must admit, I'm not a big Facebook guy and all that kind of stuff, I use LinkedIn, but so she went on to tell me that she started when she sent an email out to a bunch of her friends and who she knew had been on cruises, and they gave her a little feedback, kind of what are the different cruise lines, what are they like, what are they like. Then her and my teenage daughter sent out a Facebook status that said going on a cruise, anyone gone? Like, a whole bunch of responses. Unbeknownst to me, my daughter had a friend that has been on 10 cruises. And so, and my wife had a few friends, so they said, here are the ships, here are the routes, here's the, different destinations, the amenities, all those kinds of things. So my wife had a pretty good idea what she was looking for. And then she found a site called cruisecritic.com, and it had a completely exhaustive review of all the ships, the routes, and all that kind of stuff. And she also found a couple of blogs. And so she went on the blogs, and the blogs were customers talking about their experiences with various cruise lines, etc. And then she went on to the actual websites, and the websites are quite interesting. They're very interactive. You can pull up pictures of the ships, there's videos, there's different views of the activities, etc. So she did all that stuff before she placed a call to a cruise line, and it sort of brought home to me that just consumers are buying differently now, and it's not, they're very, very well informed. I see it in my sales organization. I show up to a meeting with a client, albeit B2B, and they've been on our website. They know what our clients are. They know what benefits, from our case studies. They know it really well, and they're really well informed. So I think it speaks to the level of online research that's happening in the market. It's much greater than it was even a year ago, and a lot of it, the amount of product research. So I see some stats, in the Gartner, American Marketing Association, Canadian Marketing Association, 70% of all consumers are doing some form of online product analysis before they buy. 79% of those are doing it on a mobile device, which is kind of interesting. And the number of data sources that are being reviewed on the high end, an automobile, consumer electronics, upwards of 20 sources of information are reviewed before they even shop at the store. And on the low end, even groceries, which kind of shocked me, people are up to 7 sources, online sources before they go to the store. So that sort of sheds some light on kind of the landscape. I'm going to talk a little bit. Okay, so this is a survey from a CMO survey from IBM. They went to 1,700 CMOs globally, 60 plus companies, 19 industries, and they asked them about what are their kind of core issues. And a couple things jump out to me. One is the top issues, market forces, technology, all those kinds of things are the same year over year. You're struggling with that. And then the two key findings for me were, one is 79% of the CMOs in this survey said their level of complexity in their scope of work was going to be highly complex and increasing in the next 5 years. And of that percentage, 50% said they were completely unprepared. And so they're unprepared around the amount of data they're going to need to deal with, around social media, around different channels, and they had a couple ideas on kind of how to move forward. One is, and these are priorities, is they absolutely had to understand the value of the marketing campaigns and the programs and improve the ROI. And they needed to focus on marketing to not just to market segments, but individuals and using data to do that. And their world has changed. It's much more about relationships through data and much less about just individual transactions. So that sort of sets the stage on the issues. This is a study from, this is an annual survey. You probably don't want to be on this one. If you are, it's bad. It's from a company called Ideaca, and they studied the 7 biggest website failures every year, and they post them. And so there's a few interesting ones because the themes are sort of common. There's one theme around campaign responses, the inability to predict the amount of responses, and then websites crash. There's other ones that are kind of the theme is their core website couldn't scale. Huge implications around service and implications around aligning IT with the business. So the ones that we looked at: Target, Apple, H&M, and Disney. Promotion in every case, and wildly successful, crashed the website, and they couldn't move forward. So Target was particularly interesting because they launched this Masonic collection, and then website crashed, and then 6 weeks later they did another campaign, exactly the same thing happened. On the website side, the London Games and New York City, I mean, this is near and dear to our hearts because the last hurricane that went through New York, that Mayor Bloomberg said, everybody, all the information you need is on the website. Just go to the website, it'll tell you what to do, it'll tell you how to be prepared. Boom, the website went down, too much traffic. So that sort of speaks to kind of the challenges around aligning IT to response rates in this electronic world. So this is this sort of new category of software that's emerging that's called customer experience management software. And a lot of firms, marketeers, et cetera, believe that the ability of an organization to apply these technologies creatively is the source of competitive advantage. And so if you think about it, it's all about content, SEO, websites across smartphones, internet, call center, and making those things work. So there's 2 implications to marketing. One is organizationally, a lot of the IT functions and IT activities are moving right into marketing. So Gartner did a study recently. It's a pretty good study. I encourage you to look at it if you have a chance. 60% of all marketing organizations are making all of the technology decisions and pulling budget for technology decisions. So that's very different. They're not viewing it as shadow IT. They're viewing it as sort of strategic to the business. The other side is the skills required, and there's this notion of creative technology equals creative marketing, and there's a whole new paradigm of new roles like the marketing technologist. You see advertisements for that because they need to have a creative mind and a mind of a technologist all combined in one organization. And these are the range of things that a marketing organization needs to understand. Everything from SEO, content management, IT concepts, because that's where the source of competitive advantage is. And I heard a really good quote that kind of stuck with me is marketers need to stop interrupting what people are interested in and start being what they're interested in, which is kind of an interesting concept around being relevant to your clients. So that's kind of 2 implications around organization and around skills. This is the customer experience management market. The software vendors, as you can see, there's a long, long list. There's about 10 different categories. There's no standards. There's lots of providers and few leaders. So this is the complexity that the CMO faces. They're all see technology as a source of competitive advantage, and this is the landscape that they need to provide customer experience solutions in organizational models. But the net of it is they recommend 3. The traditional model is marketing. Here's a request, throw it on the fence, IT, here you go, tell me when I can get it. And it's usually too long and defeatured, as you said. So the new models are, one is co-location. So they're proposing that you have IT on one floor and marketing on another floor, and you co-locate the technology people for marketing and the marketing folks. This one right here is the embedded, which is probably their preferred, is when you have the technology skills that reside in marketing and you create a marketing technology office. And the third would be a joint venture where you create a totally separate organization. So this marketing technology office is pretty key. So it would be responsible for things like standards, IT relationship, governance of the applications, making sure there's a deep understanding of marketing technologies, and then also making sure that technology is embedded in the marketing process because that's a source of competitive advantage. Another implication, budgets. This is Gartner's forecast for IT spending and marketing spending. So the prediction is by 2017 that the CMO will spend more on IT than the CIO, which is pretty dramatic. And it has to do with the fact that IT budgets are not growing as fast as marketing budgets, and the proportion of budget that's being spent on marketing technologies is increasing. So by 2017, they'll pass the CIO, which is pretty profound. What are they spending on? A little hard to read, but a lot on customer retention, customer acquisition. These are the big line items. Branding, online marketing, and then you can see on the right, the areas that are blue, either light blue or dark blue, are the areas where there's an increased spend around marketing budgets. So social media, customer acquisition, customer profitability, that's where the money's going. The way in which applications are being deployed, that's a big implication of this new online world, online campaigns. So the tradition, first of all, a lot is being outsourced. The ratio of outsourced services to insourced is kind of 4-to-1. And the traditional model of let's buy the software, let's get the servers, let's configure it, let's have an implementation team, those types of things are slowly fading away and being replaced by hosted software as a service, cloud, which we're here to talk about. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One, I'll show an illustrating example. One, obviously cost, but more importantly is time to market. So I have a little analysis here from IDC, and this speaks to the implication around building applications. So it's a comparison of the effort it would take to build an application in the cloud vis-a-vis the effort it would take to build an application on-premise or a typical traditional model. And they took a representative application size, and they roughly estimated that the traditional model was 2 FTEs, and a cloud model would be half of that because you have a lot of savings around coding, assembly integration, unit testing that translates into less effort. Less effort equals faster time to market. So that's what's driving the consumption patterns around software as a service and cloud. So that's kind of a very quick overview of online campaigns, what are the implications for marketing.